Welcome back. New week. We can put these phones away. On the warm-up, we know that finding an inverse of points is just flipping them around. So that's what we did on this warm-up. So there's that. Now everyone has this sheet. We're doing the notes. We just watched the Sneeches on the Beaches, whatever it's called, video. So there we go. Okay. So our objective is to be able to find inverses of functions. So we watched the Sneeches video, and it says a function describes the relationship between two variables, applying a rule to an input that generates exactly one output. For such relationships, we are often compelled to reverse or undo the rule, okay? And that's kind of what you saw in the video with the stars in the belly, and then they reversed them, took them off, put them back on, all that good stuff, okay? Does anyone, it's like an inverse. Is anyone still taking a quiz? Finish?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. Headphones though, please. So next slide here. McBean builds a second machine, that rhymes, to reverse the action of the first one that removes the star. So can you identify the math connection to this story? Reversing it, it's like an inverse machine. So fill in the first top right boxes. Okay, the first top right box says McBean's first machine represents right functions. Hey, headphones. What? Top right box, where it says McBean's machine represents, and then the second machine reverses, and the first thereby acting as an inverse. So write these two words in red on the top right and the second to top right boxes, right? We just started notes. When we finish. All right, next one. Probably. So the next thing, it says inverse operations you know. Okay, so what is the inverse of adding? What do you think? Ooh, subtraction. All right. Or subtracting. We're going to use the same. Okay. Getting this down with the phone in your hand? Hello, Kitty. All right. So what is the inverse of multiplying? Dividing. Okay. So y'all know the opposites, the inverse operations. Everyone's writing that down in this second little table right here. Get it down. Write it down. What's in your ear? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Brah. All right. Next. Okay, the sooner we're done, the sooner we're done. So next, or what? All right, here we go. Next one. All right, the inverse of ordered pairs, x comma y, is the set of all ordered pairs, y comma x. Okay. So again, you just flip them. We knew that from last week. You flip x and y. Also, we know that the domain of a function is the range of the inverse, and the range of a function is the domain of the inverse. Makes sense because it just flipped around. Cool? And then we know this symbol, f with the little -1, means f inverse of x. And what we're going to do today is switch x and y, nothing new. Cool? So, this is like our warm-up. So, again, what's on your page is up here at the top, and this is our inverse. Because what did we do to x and y? We flipped x and y. Yeah? So 1, 2 becomes 2, 1. Write that down. 2, 4 becomes 4, 2. Write that down. 3, 6 becomes 6, 3. And then 4, 8 becomes 8, 4. Okay, so you can write what's in blue here on your page. No. Just in that space above, between recap and steps. We're about to talk about those 4 steps. We're not there yet, okay? Hey. Okay, making sure. All right, everybody. Now, this is the most important part at the bottom of your page, the 4 steps, okay? But before we can get there, here's a little flow chart. Check it out. If you do order of operations, f of x equals 4x minus 2, it would be x times 4 and then minus 2, okay? Now, what if you did all of those steps but backwards? So you would do, instead of minus 2, you would add 2. Instead of times 4, you would divide 4. So look at this original function and this inverse function. Do you see how there's opposites of everything? That's what it would look like when you do an inverse function. So what are the 4 rules to solve an inverse function? At the bottom of your page, let's write this down. Step number 1. Go ahead and write this down. Change, if needed, f of x to y. So if it has an f of x, you need to turn that into a y. Step 2. I'm not moving it. Step 2 is switch x and y. Now that kind of is duh, because that's what we've been doing with inverses. You switch x and y. So it makes perfect sense. Switch x and y. Here's the hard part. You got to solve for y, which 2 weeks ago when we were solving for a variable, some of us were having a bad time or not wanting to do it or refusing to do it, but that's why we've been doing it. You got to be able to solve for a variable. We're going to show some examples, okay? And then last step is you need to change to functional notation. It looks like this: f inverse x. Go ahead and write that next to number 4. F with a little negative 1x. Get that down? With the f inverse x. With this. You wrote that down. Lies. Lies. Okay. All right, everybody. We got 4 steps written down. So on the back, we're going to do 3 examples, and we'll be done. Okay? Cool? So flip it over. Everyone got these down? I'm going to freeze it over here so I can refer to these 4 steps. Okay? Stay with me. Now, here's our first. Here is our. Nope. Hold on. Here's our first example. Okay? F of x equals 8x minus 1. No. So, what's step 1? So I'm going to rewrite the equation, but instead of f parentheses x parentheses, I'm going to put a y instead. So let's go ahead and rewrite it. You might want to write small, that way you don't run out of room. Okay, so y equals 8x minus 1. All I did was rewrite it. That step's super easy. F of x turns into y, that's it. Okay? Step 2, what do? Switch x and y. So where I have a y, turn it into an x, like Harry Potter or something. Equals 8, and where I see x, Expelliarmus, it's a y. All right. Now everything else stays the same. The minus 1, the 8, no big deal. So we did step 2. What's step 3? Solve for y. Now here's where people goof. Don't be a goofy goober. Okay? Here's why. I need to get y by itself. It's not by itself because there's an 8 and a minus 1. What do you think we need to get rid of first? The 8 or the minus 1? Okay, the loner, the minus 1. Okay? So the opposite of minus 1 is plus 1 on both sides. See how we're using that stuff we learned? Okay, so again, write small if you need to. Plus 1 here, plus 1 here. Now, on the right side, cancels out. On the left, what is x plus 1? No. No. What? Not 1. No. I'll be impressed now if anyone gets this. X plus 1. What? No, that's multiplying. What do you say? All right. Ready? Ready? It's x plus 1. That's it. It doesn't change.
Why would you do that?
You got to know that. we spent last week combining like terms. You can't combine them because they're not like terms. I prepared you for this moment. All right. Well, anyways, x plus 1 is x plus 1. That's it. All right. Okay, now you won't forget, hopefully. All right. Now, how do I get rid of that 8 in front of y? What? Okay, 8 and y are being multiplied. So what do I do to get rid of a multiplying? How do I get rid of a coefficient? Okay, divide both sides by 8. Okay. Divide by 8. Now, real quick. Hey, on the left side, the whole thing, it's a big fraction divided by 8. Okay. We're almost done. Kind of. You can do it. I believe in you. Now. Cool. Now, last step. Oh, okay. Well, if you gotta go, go. So do you or don't you? No, I don't want to hear it. So, last step. Change to function notation. F inverse little negative 1 x. So, let's go. I'll write it off to the right in case you ran out of room. F inverse x equals x plus 1 over 8. Big old fraction. That's it. So all I did was follow my steps. I changed f of x to y. I switched x and y, solving for y. Don't screw up. Okay, don't mess up. And then number 4, write it with an inverse, f inverse x. Okay? I didn't make these problems, but the next one is very similar. So we should be able to do it pretty easily. Let's do the next one. What's my first step? F of x needs to be y. So let's rewrite this. Y equals 8x minus 2. Right? Sorry. I had to clear my throat. Yeah, I know. Also, you gotta get some out of here. Okay, you got some right there. Okay. 8x minus 2, right? Now, next step. What do I do with x and y? Switch them. So x equals 8y minus 2. Easy. Now, step 3. Solve for y. Now, what do I need to get rid of first? The loner. What's the opposite of minus 2? Plus 2 on both sides. So, plus 2, plus 2. Hey, I know y'all are smart. What's x plus 2?
Negative 4.
No. Are you sure? It is x plus 2. Wow. X plus 2 is x plus 2. I know. I'm just messing with you. I want you to doubt yourself, but then have confidence that no matter what anyone says, you know. All right. Now, real quick, to get rid of this 8. Divide, yes, divide by 8, divide by 8. A big division on the left side. Okay? And we rewrite it with function notation. F inverse x equals x plus 2 over 8. Big old fraction, okay? We got one more example we got to knock out real quick. So, anyone else need this still? Okay, last one. Ready? Okay, first step. What do I do? Okay, yeah, change f of x to y. So I'm going to rewrite it with y equals, right? Next step, what do I do with x and y? Switch them. X equals 3y, whoa, 3y plus 1 all over 2. Okay, now step 3 says solve for y. Now, how do I solve this ugly thing? Well, let me tell you. When you have a big fraction, okay, it'd be nicer if the fraction wasn't there. So I'm telling you, if you have a big fraction bar, you want to get rid of that big divided by 2 first. Okay? What's the opposite of a big divided by 2? No. Multiplication. Okay. Times 2 on both sides will get rid of that big divided by 2. So let's do that. Times 2 here. Times 2 here. So the 2's on the right cancel out. Now don't get tricked. What's x times 2?
Wait, what are you doing? X2.
2x. Usually we write the number before the letter, right? 2x, okay? X times 2 or 2 times x is 2x, either way, okay? So 2x equals 3y plus 1. The 2's canceled out, so it's just 3y plus 1 over there, okay? Now, if I want to solve for y, we should know what to do by now. What do I get rid of next? Loner 1. How do you get rid of a plus 1? Minus 1. All right, it's time for the ultimate test. What's 2x minus 1? Is it 1x? Is it 1? 2x minus 1 is 2x minus 1, right? They're not like terms. They don't match. So they just put them next to each other. All right. So 2x minus 1 equals 3y. Last step. How do you get rid of that 3 in front of y? Divide. It's a coefficient. It's being multiplied. So divide by 3. Big divided by 3. And your last step is to write it in function format. F inverse x equals 2x minus 1 over 3. That is it. Period. All right. So F inverse x equals 2x minus 1 all over 3. So could you, tomorrow, change f of x to y, switch x and y, solve for y, and then rewrite it as a function? I hope so. Don't lose your notes. Keep them. And if you have anything to turn in, turn it in. If you finish your quiz, make sure you turn it in. If you didn't finish it, I still need it. And be on time tomorrow, please. All right. And if you're not here tomorrow, you fail the whole course for the rest of the year.